Hello and welcome. My name is Yinghao Li. This video is aimed to giving a brief description of our work on the PACE project and a detailed demonstration of the proposed system. Our work scenario is an abstraction of real-life systems for providing customer services. We focus on the aspects that involve the processing and handling of customers' personal data. So we present an online pharmacy scenario to show the GDPR concerns we focus on for such composite cloud services. A customer accesses the website of an online pharmacy to order for some drugs or needs to provide the following personal information. So identification, health info, bank account, and address. And the online pharmacy stores the details of the request in its database and accesses this to process the order. So Cloud4U is a Russian web hosting server service provider which hosts and manages the website of the online pharmacy. So customers' data is managed on their servers. And the pharmacy's website is embedded with plugins from the social network friend face to allow features like and share. And these plugins need to access personal data like the address of the customer for profiling purposes. The pharmacy uses real-time bidding services of beeswax for advertisements from third parties to generate other revenue streams, and this provider needs access to customer's ID and address to function. So payment system Lloyds Bank needs the customer's account details and identification to process payments. And shipping service provider Hermes needs to access the address of an ID of the customer to deliver the purchased goods. So the portal provides a mechanism to test our various scenarios and functions. So access control is implemented using three main roles, which each has different capabilities. So the first role is service provider. So they can set or update their purposes, and also they can simulate access and transfer operations. And customers, they can view a list of services given by the service provider, and also they can give consent to the listed services. And they can view related logs for operations by providers, such as compliance verification logs. And third one will be verifiers. The verifier can view GDPR compliance verification logs. So now we will go to the system demonstration. Hello everyone, my name is Yinghao Li. Today I'm going to give a demonstration regarding PACE project. As you can see in the website, this is the login page of the PACE system. And we have three different roles in the PACE system. The first is service provider, which can provide service. Second is customer, which will simulate real users. And third one is third-party verifier, who can verify all the GDPR compliance. So first we log in with the service provider. So service provider will be given with some unique identity numbers. So for example, when we log in with 11011, this is a unique number of the provider, and with the given email address and password. So when they click sign in, it will sign in their portal for the service provider. As we can see here, we have three different tabs for the service provider. The first is set purpose. Second is provider details. Third is consent list. So we will introduce one by one. And in the main page, we have two different tabs. So here is showing all the detail of the provider details. And here is logs. So this log will showing all the operations happening in the front end in the portal, and also the operation happening in the back end. So we separate with different colors. All the log showing in black color is representing the operations happening in the front end in this portal, and all the red logs is representing all the operations, all the communication happening with the blockchain. As we can see here, this logs is retrieving provider details from smart contract. So it's still retrieving. And this log showing already retrieved provider details from smart contract. So it's already get the provider details from the blockchain. Okay. So let's start with the set purpose. First, the service provider need to complete the purpose, each of the purpose they can provide, and all these purpose will be stored in the blockchain. So first we just give an example for the set purpose. And now we use a scenario of the online pharmacy. So in online pharmacy, they have a list of services. And the first service may be order placement with account creation. So in this service, they may need to access, the operation will be access. The user data may be personal data. Okay, so when we type in the service operation and user data, they can click submit button, and it will store all the information to set this purpose in the blockchain. So we click it. The return will be a new provider ID has been added to network. So why the return is this? Because we just add the first purpose of this provider, and previously there's no 11 or 10, there's no this provider in the blockchain. So we just add a new provider ID with the first set purpose. As we see from the logs, it's adding new provider purpose in the smart contract, and it's already added new provider purpose in the smart contract. So here is the operations happening in the front end and also in the blockchain. And then we can click provider detail. Do you see? Okay. Order placement, account creation, personal data. So this service is the one we just added. And if we want to add more purposes, we can just add more purposes. Let's say shipping and payment. For these purposes, they also need to access personal data. And when they click submit, a new service has been added to the existing provider. So we can click provider detail to see here. We have two different services added in the blockchain for this particular provider. And they can also add more purposes as they want. So here we are. I already added a list of services in the blockchain. As we can see, we have different type of operations: access, transfer, and providing. And also for each services, they may operate with different data categories. And the data categories here can be various. It depends on the service providers. So we already added a list of services, and now we will move to the customer portal to see what happened there. So we add one more tab, and we will also log in with the customer's email address and password. So it will be customer. Yeah. So when you click sign in, so here we are. We are in the customer's portal. So it's different from the service provider's portal. As we can see here with three different tabs. First is provider list. So it will list all the available providers who already given so different services in the blockchain. And the provider detail will show in the detail of each of the providers and service verification records. And here we also get a list of logs, which will show in what's happening in the front end and back end. So now online pharmacy here is representing the service provider we just defined before. And when we click this button, the details button, okay, it will show a list of provider details. As we can see here, we have service details here, and there are a list of service details, and it will show in service provider, online pharmacy, provides service, order placement, account creation, which needs to access your data, personal data. Do you consent to provide your data? Please select your option. So each of these, we paraphrase it to a sentence to help customer to understand. And in left-hand side, we have a list of selection of choices for the customer. So as we can see here, it's consent, not consent, and some of them will be object, not object. So the customer can select their operations for each of the services. So for example, they may select not consent for this non-essential cookies retrieval. And also they may need to set maybe not consent for this third-party advertising. Maybe therefore set not consent for this one, the data transmission, maybe. Okay. So after the selection, when you click submit button, it will submit all the selections to the blockchain. So in the blockchain, it will store all the choices by this particular customer for all the services of this service provider. And when we click it, we can see here in log, it's storing users' consent votes in smart contract. And then the next will be already stored user consent votes in smart contracts. So that means everything is already stored in the smart contracts. Also, they can update their selections. Let's say if they want to give consent for this particular service, the social network data transmission, they can also click this, and then maybe they will update it, click submit button. Okay, as we can see, the new logs happening here. And it's already stored the new sections for this customer. So after the consent has already been given by the customer, then we can move back to the cloud provider side. And there's one tab here named consent list. So in consent list, it will show all the consent from the customer, and from the service provider, they can use this page to just simulate their operations. So for example, here we have two selections. One is user ID, and we can select a user. So assume we select user one, which represents to this user. And we can select the purposes. So when you click here, you can see the all services this provide is showing here. Order placement, account creation to EHR record. So they can click any of them. So for example, we click non-essential cookies retrieval, and then we click submit. It will check the blockchain and then find the consent from this particular service is given or not be given by the customer one. So we click it. As we can see here, the reason is customer one did not give consent to share personal information with the service provider. That's because this a customer didn't give consent for this particular service. And then when we go back to this, to here, and then we can see the non-essential, we give consent here, we do give consent, and maybe we are not give consent for this one, for third-party data transmission, and then we update it, click submit, and we can see here from the logs, yeah, already stored user consent vaults. And then we go back to here, go back to the service provider site, and we will directly test this non-essential cookies because we already give consent. And we click submit. We see test cookies. So this is the return. This is the actually raw data from the database which can return. So why is it written? Because we already give consent for the customer. And we can test this one. We test the third-party data transmission, which we are not give consent. And we click submit. Consent verification failed. So that means it's not consent. And then we can update it maybe to give consent for this one, third-party data transmission. Yeah. So that means everything is already stored in the blockchain. Now we move back to the service provider side, and we can test with this third party. Okay, no violation found in the transfer. So that means it's already been consented. So after we have simulated a lot of operations in the service provider side, and then we can go to the customer side and see there's one another type tag named the verification record. So that means all the verification is already recorded in the blockchain as well. And we click this. Because the verification record, we are not going to use the local blockchain. We're going to use another public blockchain network. So which means it takes a while to communicate with the public one. You see, it's retrieving verification logs from smart contracts. Because all the verification simulation which operated by the service provider is recorded. Okay, we can see here custom ID, operation, compliance result, and data category. All this information is already included in the verification record, and everything is stored in the public blockchain. So anyone who have the access can see all the information. As we can see, all these things we just did is stored it. And then here is also 3 times. One is request initialize time, request complete time, and the log creation time. It's very easy to see what has happened of the operations, what operation is being done by any people for any reason. And after the verification record, so we can also have a third party who will verify all the records. So the third party usually can be a government, so they can log in with this thing. Okay, here we are. They have only one tab here, is verification login. So all the verification records or all the log details are logged in the blockchain. We can see from the logs, it's retrieving verification logs from smart contract. So it's still retrieving the information from the smart contract. So it takes a while to show all this information. So why we have this verification logging is because we want the third party who can verify or who can monitor what is happening for the service provider, and everything is recorded, so they can just retrieve everything from there, as we can see, transfer, access, and some are true, and some is false. So although for anything which is false, they have a reason. As we can see here, the consent verification failed and customer did not give consent. So I think we have a reason for that, and also the time. So it's very easy for the third party to verify what is happening for both service provider and customer. Okay, yeah. So that's pretty much everything for this demo. Thank you very much.